Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This session is done for recording purpose. Okay, so there are no participants as such because we missed out recording of this session when we did the event on 17th May. So in this session, today we will explain you why cost centers are required, how to maintain the cost centers, and how to get the required reports from TallyPrime. So welcome to this video, welcome to this session. Okay, so in this session, before we get into the topics of the session, okay, why we are doing this, what's the purpose of this training? So the purpose is very simple, to help all of you to understand TallyPrime in a better way that should aid you in your day-to-day work. So how do you measure this? Basically, it should help you in increasing your efficiency and eliminate duplication of work. So this is the objective and the purpose in which we are driving this training. Okay, so let's get into cost centers. Cost centers in TallyPrime. So cost centers are also, you could also call it as a profit center management. These cost centers are typically parallel reporting system to meet the internal MIS, that is management information system of a business. So that's that's about the cost center. You could either call it as definition or an explanation or whatever this thing is. So you need to just understand why cost centers are required. So this are required only to help you in aiding your internal MIS. So let's take few examples. In what scenarios we can maintain cost centers in Tally? Okay, so these are only few examples. Okay, the way you want, you could actually configure Tally up to. So in the first example, in a business scenario where they operate out of multiple locations and they want to know location-wise profitability. Say example, I'll say there is a business who are operating from Bangalore, Mumbai, and Chennai. Now, each of this location, they want to have it as an independent entity to track their profitability. In that case, okay, we could use the cost center and start tracking the cost and the revenue. The second example we could think of is having multiple business lines. A business operating either out of one location or multi locations and are operating on multiple business lines. So example, a business is into computer hardware business as well as they are into travel and tourism. Okay, as well as they also manufacture provisional items, like example, the food items. So they might have multiple lines of business. So like example, in this case, the hardware, computer hardware business is one line of business. Okay, travel and tourism is one line of business, and then manufacturing of food items is one line of business. All the three lines of business they maintain in one single tally. Now, if they need to know business-wise profitability, cost center will help in managing that. Okay, so let's move forward. And few things that you need to understand. Maintaining cost center in Tally is not a statutory requirement. Unlike your GST, it is not a statutory requirement. You need not mandatorily maintain this. This capability is built in Tally to support the business requirements, which is over and above the statutory requirements. Okay, fine. So let's dive into Tally. So let's see how we could maintain cost centers on TallyPrime. Okay, so I'll just open TallyPrime. I'm just opening TallyPrime. So as the application opens, okay, it will check for the license details, okay, and the database path and everything, and now the application is open. Okay, so I have created one sample company to understand the cost center. So I've just told us MCS, that is Medha Consultancy Services, cost center training. So let me log on to this company. So as we log to this company data, you could see on the gateway of Tally, no vouchers entered. So there are 0 transactions in this data. And if you just go to statistics, you could just click on go to and type statistics. So you could see here, number of vouchers is 0, number of ledgers created is 26. So if you just click on the ledgers, you know all the ledgers that has got created. Okay, for sample purpose, we have created various ledgers as part of this training. So creation of these ledgers and all we looked at in the previous sessions, right? Okay, so we have created for cost center purpose. Okay, critical elements are your expense and income. Okay, so we have created some of the ledgers to track the expense and income. Okay, so now the first thing that you need to do is how do you enable cost center in TallyPrime? So you could do one thing, just go to create. Okay, so here you are not seeing the cost centers. Click on show more. Okay, so still it is not showing you the cost centers. Okay, because this is disabled. Currently it's not enabled. So you could enable in 2 different ways. The traditionally, if you are user of Tally ERP9 and then move to TallyPrime, the simple way is just to go to F11 features on company. Okay, and click here on show more features. You get cost center, you could just enable over here. Okay, or else you could do one thing, you could come to create. Okay, and on create you could just say show more and show inactive. So here you will get cost centers. Either of the way you could enable this, which will help you to achieve this results of enabling cost centers on Tally. So as you click on cost centers, it's giving you a message saying that you need to enable cost center features in this company. Do you want to enable it now? Say yes. On keyboard you could press Y, or through your mouse you could click on yes. So now it's asking me which cost center you want to create. Okay, so let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example as we discussed in our presentation. Okay, so let's take an example of multi-location. First, let's take an example of multi-location. So now, okay, before we get into Tally, okay, I'll just open one Excel, okay, so that we could record the scenarios and then we could update that in Tally. Okay, so example, I'm just saying business scenario. Okay, business scenario. Okay, scenario number 1, multi-location. I have business in Bangalore, BLR, Chennai, CHN, okay, Delhi, 3 locations. Example, let me just take 3 locations. So I have operations in Bangalore, Chennai and Delhi. Now I need to create this as my cost centers. Okay, so I need to create all these 3 as my cost center initially. So that is what we were doing in Tally. Okay, when you go to TallyPrime, so since you have enabled, saying that enable cost center, so I'm just creating BLR as one cost center and I'm saying it comes under primary. Then Chennai comes under primary. Then Delhi comes under primary. So I just created 3 cost centers in Tally. Now the cost center is enabled. Now you could also go and look at in the alteration. If you just click on cost centers, you have 3 cost centers that has been created: Bangalore, Chennai, and Delhi. Okay. So how do you enable and how do you create masters? So these two, okay, we achieved in looking at this. How do you enable? Either you could go to F11 in company features, click on show more reports, and then enable cost center. Alternatively, on gateway of Tally, you could go to create and click on show more and show inactive. It will show all the inactive including cost centers. Click on cost center, it will take you to the creation screen. Accordingly, you could create. So once when you create the cost centers, the next step that you need to do is you need to ensure that cost centers are enabled in your ledger master. So by default, all your income and expenditure ledger masters are enabled with cost center allocation as yes. So we could just go and cross check that. On gateway of Tally, click on alter ledger. Example, I want to go to electricity expense. When I click on electricity expense, okay, I could also click either on show more details. Okay, here I have cost center applicability as yes. Okay, so it's already been enabled. Okay. Alternatively, I could also go and say applicable of cost centers in ledgers, make this as yes. Okay. Now it will show on the screen itself, on the ledger creation or alteration screen itself, if you are enabling it on F12 configuration. Say example, in electricity expenses, it has been enabled, cost center has been enabled. Similarly, let me go to all my income and expenditure. So like example, local purchases been enabled. You could look at here, it's been enabled. Similarly, local sales is enabled. Local travel, like that, all my expenditure and income is been enabled with cost center. Other incomes, it's enabled with cost center. So the cost center is set to yes in your ledger master, and this should be enabled for all your income and expenditure ledgers. We'll come to the balance sheet items at the later stage. Okay, so this is how you enable. Example, I'll just show you creating one ledger. If you are creating a new ledger, say example, I'll just say ledger. So office maintenance expenses, which comes under expense indirect. Okay, type of ledger is not applicable. Now cost center, is it applicable? Yes or no? So for tracking your profit, basically the profit of the location, it's always for all the expenditure and the income ledgers, enable cost centers. And of course, the GST, this we will discuss in the GST sessions. And save, control A for save. I have saved this. Hope this is clear on how to create ledgers and link it to cost centers. Enabling of cost centers on ledgers. Okay. So let's move on. The next step is cost center allocation in vouchers. How do you allocate the cost center in vouchers? Okay, so cost centers currently are applicable for all your, as I told you earlier, for all your expenditure and income ledger. So any transaction which expenditure and income are participating will ask for the cost center. Okay, so first let us start with one payment entry example. Okay, so I'm making a direct payment. Okay, so few things, let me just disable for time being so that it becomes easier for you to have a detailed understanding. One second. Okay. So now let me start with the payment. Okay. So example, I'm paying electricity expense. So voucher payment. I've got one electricity bill. I'm making a payment. So what I'll do is electricity bill of Bangalore location, rupees 650 rupees. What bill has come? I'm making a cash payment. Okay, so let's see how to make this entry. Very simple. I'm just going to payment entry. Okay, taking the cash. I'm making payment through cash. Okay, so mailing name. I'm paying to Bestcom. Okay, now under what head I'm paying? I'm paying under electricity expense. When I specify the amount as 650 rupees, now it will ask, a new form has opened, which is asking name of the cost center for allocating 650 rupees. In this case, the given example, it will show you all the cost centers you could select or you could type. In this case, the complete 650 rupees is being allocated to Bangalore cost center. Okay. So this is through payment. Now let us take one journal entry. Example, the next example is from my office, 10 people are traveling to USA on official trip. Okay, so we have booked air tickets. Okay, so 10 people are traveling. So we have booked air tickets. So first thing is we need to know these 10 people are from which location. So example, from Bangalore, 4 members are traveling. From Chennai, 2 members are traveling. From Delhi, 4 members are traveling. And the total traveling expense has come to say like 4,50,000 rupees for 10 people. So how much should get allocated to Bangalore? So the total members are 10. Okay, Bangalore is traveling 4. So the allocation is 4,50,000 divided by 10 into 4. 1,80,000 should go to Bangalore. Similarly, okay, you could use your Excel and copy paste this formula. Sorry, something went wrong with my formula. Okay, so H7 should have, I'm sorry, H7 should have, 17 should have this thing. E should not have dollar. I'm sorry. It is not E16, it is, hey, sorry. Okay, fine. So let me just look at this. H16, okay, should have constant, which is dollar. E16 is also constant. E17 is variable. Okay, so I've just copied this, pasted. So Bangalore 1,80,000, Chennai 90,000, and Delhi 1,80,000. So total of 4,50,000. So this is the example. Okay, so now I'm entering this transaction in journal. I'm booking the bill that has been given by my supplier. So how do I enter this in Tally? So very simple. I'll take the date of the transaction, supplier invoice number I've just updated, debit, travel. Okay, it's a local travel is there. There is, let me just create one more travel. I'll see international travel as my indirect expense and cost center is applicable. I'll just saving this with Control A. Amount is 4,50,000. Now, once when I click on 4,50,000, it will ask for the cost center allocation. According to the calculation, Bangalore should take 1.8 lakhs. Chennai should take 90,000 and Delhi should take 1.8 lakhs. This is what we have calculated on our Excel. All right. So the allocation has gone, then credit is going to the supplier. Say example, Neptune Travels. So there are travel agents who comes under sundry creditors. In this, there is no cost center allocation because Neptune Travels is a balance sheet item which is coming under sundry creditors. So cost center is not applicable for a balance sheet item in the current example that we are taking. Okay. So I'll say bill wise details, 10 days of credit, 4,50,000. Okay, so GST currently I'm not giving the GST detail being bill accounted. I've said this. Okay. Now, if you want to see the reports as to how does your each of the location costs are getting allocated, you can just go to click on go to and say cost center summary. Click on cost center summary. So here you are able to see the report. Bangalore has been allocated with 1,80,650. 1,80,000 was travel and 650 was electricity bill, while Chennai and Delhi has only traveling expenses booked, international travel. But the total cost that has got allocated is 1,80,650 for Bangalore, 90,000 for Chennai, and 1,80,000 for Delhi. There are no incomes that has been tagged to these locations. So only debits are tagged, credits are not tagged. So you could also see the closing balance that is appearing. Hope this is clear. Okay. So now let's move forward. Okay. Now let me make one purchase entry. I'll click on purchase. As discussed in the earlier sessions, the entry of purchase and sales can be done either as invoice or as voucher, right? So the cost center allocation for the if you are entering as a invoice, okay, so you can enter at the cost center allocation details, not at the individual ledger level, but at the transaction level most of the time. Okay, so I'll do one thing, not to confuse you. First, let us do purchase entry as voucher and see how it works. Then we will take a purchase entry as invoice. Okay, so to enter purchase entry as voucher, on the purchase entry screen, go to change mode and click on as voucher. Once when you click on as voucher, you need to enter debit credit values. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me just say the third is purchase entry. So we want to do a purchase entry. Okay. Worth rupees 10 lakhs from supplier on 15 days credit. Okay, so not looking at the taxation portion and everything, 10 lakh worth of material is purchased. Now this purchase might happen to one single location, or I might have done the centralized purchase for all the locations put together. So similarly, let me just take the same example so that I need not copy paste. Okay, so I'm just saying, okay, total is 10 lakhs. Okay, and now Bangalore. Okay, so I'll just give the value. So I'll just say for Bangalore, worth 3 lakh is purchased. Chennai worth 5 lakh is purchased. Delhi worth 2 lakhs is purchased. Straight. There is no percentage, nothing. Okay. So total is 10 lakhs. So similarly, I need to enter this. So let me come to tally. I'm making a purchase entry, updating the supplier reference bill number. Credit, who is the supplier? Say example, I'm purchasing from Kotari Electronics. So you could give the basic details of Kotari Electronics. Now 10 lakhs. Okay, since Kotari Electronics is a sundry creditor balance sheet item, you don't get any cost center allocation for Kotari Electronics because it is a balance sheet ledger, and currently we are using only at the income and expenditure, that is the profit and loss ledgers. Debit goes to, say example, local purchases 12%. So assuming this is inclusive of taxes, okay, so what we need to do, this 10 lakhs, or let me do one thing, let me add with tax over here, it becomes easier to allocate. So the total is at 12% is on 10 lakhs, 12% is 1,20,000. So it is 11,20,000. Okay, local purchases 10 lakhs. Now again it will ask for cost center allocation. I'll say Bangalore. According to my calculation, 3 lakh rupees for Bangalore. Chennai, 5 lakh rupees. And balance goes to Delhi, 2 lakh rupees. Then debit, input CGST at 6%, 60,000. Again, cost center allocation is not applicable because this is a balance sheet item, which is a current liability, and the balance goes to input SGST 60,000. Currently, I'll say GST details are not required, being purchase entry created. So what did we do? If you go to the transaction, okay, and if you want to see the allocation on the screen, cost center allocation on the screen, very simple, click on F12 and say show cost centers, show cost center details. It is mentioned as no, make this as yes. Now you could see for local purchases, the cost center allocation, how much for Bangalore, how much for Chennai, and how much for Delhi. Okay. So now, if you want to look at the report, click on go to cost center summary. Now your debits have got increased to the extent of allocation. So Bangalore has become 4,80,000, Chennai has become 5,90,000, and Delhi has become 3,80,000. Now, if you want to look at what is the Bangalore's breakup, okay, so you could just on the right hand side you have cost center, click on cost center and say Bangalore. Okay, it is showing only Bangalore. Okay, it will give you month-wise breakup, but if you require the head-wise breakup, come out of this report, click on go to cost center breakup of ledger. Okay, either you could go to cost center or you could say cost center breakup and click on Bangalore. So it will show you ledger headwise. Under which head, how much of allocation has happened. Hope this is clear. Okay. So let's go back. Purchases. We were doing a purchase entry. The issue was, I showed you the purchase entry how to do as a voucher, but if you click on how to do as a change mode and click on how to do as an accounting invoice, or in this case it's an accounting invoice, okay, the allocation will not happen as you are looking at this. So what you need to do here is you need to click on F12 and you get an option called show cost center or class. Okay, click on yes and click on show list of cost centers. These two enable. Now once when you enable this, on the purchase screen you can know the cost center or classes allocation. Now do a purchase entry as an invoice. Example, I am just doing one more entry. Okay. Supplier invoice number. Who is the party? Kotari Electronics, same party. Now it will ask for the cost center allocation. In this case, you can give allocation to only one given cost center. If you want to have multiple cost center, then you need to have a cost center class. That I will explain to you as we progress. See, currently I'll just take, this is for Chennai purchases. I've done a local purchase, okay, worth 5 lakh rupee. And I have input CGST, input SGST at 6%. Okay, then I'm just closing the transaction being purchase entry updated. So I've added 5 lakh to Bangalore, sorry, Chennai. In this case, it is Chennai. Now, if I go to cost center breakup and say cost center summary, so you could see Chennai has got additionally 5 lakh got allocated. Hope this is clear. Okay. Now let's move to one sale transaction. So I'm doing a sales entry. In sales entry, you need not have this cost center allocation. You could still use it at the ledger allocation itself, even though you're doing it on invoicing mode. Okay, so I'll just, okay, reference not required. On 2nd of April, I'm selling to Balaji agencies. Okay, let me take Balaji agencies. Cost center, I'll just say not applicable. Now I'll say it's local sales. Okay, say example 25 lakhs. Now it is showing cost center. So I could take to Bangalore 13 lakhs, Chennai 5 lakhs, Delhi 7 lakhs. I've done the allocation of cost center. Okay, so to this, I'm sorry. Okay, once when you do this, I had GST also. Since GST is a balance sheet item which concerns of current liabilities of the liability side on the balance sheet, the cost center allocation we have not enabled for that. You will give the narration. Okay, so credit limit has crossed. I cannot do this because Balaji Enterprises, as we looked in the previous sessions, there were some credit limits. Okay, let me do one thing. let me increase the credit limit, control enter on the master. It will take you to the master alteration screen. Okay, so I'm just adding one more zero to it. So I have made the credit limit as 1 crore. So it will automatically help us to save the transaction. No. Save. Yes. Accept it. This is the transaction. Now if we go to cost center summary report. So you could also see there is a credit. Under credit you have 13 lakhs for Bangalore, 5 lakhs for Chennai and 7 lakhs for Delhi. And if you look at the closing balance, Bangalore is credit balance while Chennai is debit balance. Means Bangalore is under profit, Chennai is under a loss because my cost is more than my revenue in Chennai versus in Bangalore, my revenue is more than my cost. Similarly in Delhi, my revenue is more than my cost. Hope this is clear. And if you want to look at the individual cost center details, you could just click on go to and say cost center breakup. For Bangalore, you could see for Bangalore, you could click on Alt F1 in a detailed way. Under sales, I have 13 lakhs. Under purchase, I have 3 lakhs. Under expenses, I have electricity expense and international travel. So similarly, you could start allocating to each of the cost center. Now you want to compare one cost center with other, Bangalore with Chennai. On this cost center breakup, click on new column and add one more column to select Chennai cost center. So there is a columnar report. So you could compare Chennai with Bangalore. Hope this is clear. Okay. So the next thing on cost center. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Yeah, you looked at the cost center allocation in voucher and cost center reporting. The next is cost category. What is cost category and why cost category are required in any business? Why do you require to be enabled in TallyPrime and what benefits you get? Cost categories are nothing but a parallel MIS reporting systems. Mean to say example, we have taken this example of location, right? Okay, we had 3 location. Okay, Bangalore, Chennai and Delhi. Okay, so this was scenario 1 we took. Let me add multi-dimensional system to this. Along with 3 location, we have 3 different line of business as I was explaining to you in the in this session. Okay, I'll say I have 3 lines of business and 3 locations. So which are these 3 lines of business I have? One, I have computer hardware. Second, I have travel and tourism. The third, I have FMCG manufacturing as one more line of business. These are 3 different lines of business. But all these 3 line of business, I am operating under one company. And this company is operating in 3 different locations, Chennai, Bangalore and Delhi. So the reporting system that I require is, I require line of business wise profitability and location wise profitability also. I want to see whether Chennai is profitable or not, Bangalore is profitable or not, Delhi is profitable or not. Parallelly, I also want to see whether my computer hardware is profitable or not, travel and tourism is profitable or not, and FMCG is profitable or not. So both I need to track, and these are parallel. These are not connected to each other. Location and line of business are not connected to each other. They are parallel cost centers or cost categories. In this case, we need to create them as under a cost category. Okay. So in Tally, you have something called cost category also. So example, if you would have noticed, when we created a cost center, say example Bangalore, it asked under what? And we default gave it under primary, right? So now let's do one thing. We will move these things. We will say, we will create something called cost category. So I'll just go and click on more, show more. So here I have something called cost category. So it is saying cost category does not exist. By default, it is only primary cost category. Do you want to create a new? Okay, yes, I'll just say yes, I want to create new. Now, what is the category? I have two categories here. One has location and one has LOB, line of business. So I'll just say location as cost category. Now you could look at here, there are two options. One is enabled and one is disabled. It says allocate revenue items. Revenue includes both revenue and expenditure, which is typically your P&L ledgers. Then allocate non-revenue items, that is basically your balance sheet ledgers, both assets and liabilities. So since assets and liabilities is as no, whenever you are selecting a ledger which is associated to your asset or liability on the transaction, on the voucher, the cost center is not getting enabled. So you are not able to allocate for the cost center for your balance sheet items. Hope this is clear. So I've just created location, and I'm also creating line of business as one more cost category with revenue item allocation. Now cost center and cost categories are linked. So you can link a cost center to a cost category. So let me do one thing. Let me just go to alteration of the existing cost center we already had, right? Bangalore. Bangalore, click on backspace in the name. Okay, you have three lines now. Line of business, location, and primary cost center. That is default available. So Bangalore comes under location. Okay, under location you have Bangalore. Then you could see here it is updating. Chennai is also tagged to a location. Okay, then Delhi is also tagged to a location. Okay, now all these three are tagged to a location. I am going and creating three more new cost centers under line of business. One is computer hardware. Then I have travel and tourism. Then I have FMCG manufacturing as my cost center under category line of business. So what I've created over here is, if you go to alter and look at your cost center, you have all the 6 cost center, 3 are coming under location and 3 are coming under line of business. If you want to see it in a more detailed way, you could go to chart of accounts and click on cost centers. So under line of business, you are seeing computer hardware, FMCG manufacturing, and travel and tourism. Under location, you are seeing Bangalore, Chennai, and Delhi. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's create few more transactions. Say example, since you know you could do the cost center allocation on any type of voucher, accounting voucher. Okay, so let's take one journal for example. I'm making a journal entry. Okay, so I want to allocate for line of business as well as my location, the same expenses. So example, I'm just taking cost center is not applicable at this stage. Now I'm saying I'm paying for local travel. People are traveling. Okay, travel cost is 3 lakhs. Now I could say first it has to be allocated based on line of business. Under which line of business? Computer hardware 1 lakh. Okay, then FMCG 80,000. Then travel and tourism 1.2 lakh. This is the line of business. And the same 3 lakh I am also allocating based on location. Bangalore, I'll say 1 lakh. Chennai 65,000 and Delhi 1 lakh 35,000. So it depends. So these two are two parallel. These are not linked to each other. Line of business is a separate category and location is a separate category. Okay, so 3 lakh rupees, and I'm just saying this Neptune travels. Okay, on a new invoice number, 10 days of credit, 3 lakh rupees. GST details being travel bill accounted. So I've just accounted the travel bill. Look at the transaction. Local travel debit of 3 lakhs, and the same 3 lakh has been allocated to line of business as well as location. Okay, for my financial purpose, for my trial balance, it is 3 lakhs. But if you look at the cost center wise reporting, the same 3 lakhs will show under your location as well as under your line of business. Hope this is clear. Now, if you want to look at report, click on go to cost center summary breakup. It is just showing only for primary cost category, so you are not able to get this. Okay, you want to look at cost category summary, right? So we are looking at cost center summary. I require cost category breakup. Okay, so cost category, one second. How could I look at cost category? Cost category summary. It is just showing over here. Click on cost category summary. Look, under line of business, you have expenditure under computer hardware cost center, FMCG manufacturing cost center, travel and tourism cost center. And location has got auto allocated because we had some previous transaction and we have done one new transaction. Okay, so this is the allocations of your cost center wise if you want to look at. And if you want to look at any specific cost center, you could just go click on cost center breakup report and select any specific cost center. Okay, either you want ledger wise, you could click on ledger wise, or you could click on Alt F1 detailed wise. It will give you the report based on ledger allocation. Okay. Example, let me just make one sale entry. Okay, so again the sale entry. Okay, you can have multiple cost center allocation in the same transaction or single cost center in the same allocation. I'll show you both. Let us do both the entries. So first I'm doing one single cost center allocation. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm billing for Balaji agencies. So here cost center, I could take either of the one cost center, but in the given example I need to allocate both for my location as well as line of business. So at this stage I'll say not applicable. Okay, then I'll say it's local sales 15 lakhs. Okay, so in location, Bangalore will go to 4 lakh rupees. Chennai takes 3 lakhs rupees. Delhi takes 8 lakh rupees. Now I have LOB, line of business, computer hardware takes 4 lakh rupees. Then I have the next is basically travel and tourism takes 4 lakh rupees once more. Then FMCG business is taking 7 lakh rupees of revenue. So this is our allocation. Okay, so to this I need to have GST also allocated. GST will not have cost center allocation because it's the balance sheet item. 10 days of credit. Okay, sales entry updated. Control R to bring in the previous narration on your narration field. Control R is the shortcut key. Accept. Now, as and when you accept, you could go to cost category report, summary report. Look here, the credit have also got updated to this 15 lakhs. Line of business wise. Similarly, 50 earlier it was 25 lakhs of your credit. Now it has become 40 lakhs and it has got updated. Hope this is clear. So if you have multiple lines of business, you could categorize that. Now I'll give one more twist to this. Okay, I'll say from the business perspective, okay, I have added one more location, call it as Mysore. But when I look at the report, I need Karnataka. Under Karnataka, I have Bangalore and Mysore. Like this. Under Karnataka, I have Bangalore and Mysore. I have Chennai and I have Delhi. So when I'm looking at the report, I want Karnataka as the total, and under Karnataka, I require the subtotal, and Chennai and Delhi, I require separately. While this remains the same. Okay, so I'm giving one more twist to your requirement. So how do you handle this? So under Karnataka, I require 2 cost centers to be allocated. So Mysore is the new location that we have added. So very simple. What you could do is, now earlier we had allocated Bangalore under location. It will continue to be under cost category location, but we need to create one more cost center called Karnataka, and then we need to tag Bangalore and Mysore under Karnataka. So we'll do one thing, we'll just create one more cost center, call it as, this will come under location, not line of business, Karnataka. Okay, and we could also look at, is there any configurations that we can set up? So use grouping for cost center is also available. Okay, so now I'm saying it comes under not primary. Okay, so yeah, it comes under primary. I'm sorry, it comes under primary. Then I'm creating one additional location. Mysore is the new location we started. So I'm just creating Mysore, and under I'm specifying it has to come under Karnataka, not location. It has to come under Karnataka. Then I will go and alter the existing Bangalore to come under Karnataka. Okay, so that it gets tagged. Now, if you look at how we have structured, if you go to chart of accounts and look at cost center chart of accounts, see, look here, under LOB you have 3 LOBs, under location you have Chennai, Bangalore and Karnataka. Under Karnataka you have Bangalore and Mysore. Okay, so if you allocate to Bangalore and Mysore, it will get auto allocated to Karnataka. It is just like your groups and ledgers. Okay, so let me do one entry to show it to you. Vouchers, Say example, I'm making one sale entry, changing the date to make one sale entry to Balaji Agencies. Okay, there I'll say not applicable. Local sales 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going to location, I'm allocating to Bangalore 30,000, Mysore 70,000. Okay, then line of business to FMCG manufacturing 1 lakh. Example. So what I've done, I've allocated to Bangalore and Mysore 70,000 and 30,000. Okay, then I have output CGST, output SGST. Okay, then I'm saving the transaction. Okay, so as I save the transaction, when I go to a report and say I want to look at cost center summary, cost category summary, cost category summary, look here, I'm getting Karnataka over here as one value. I could go to detailed one. Under Karnataka, I have Bangalore and Mysore allocation. So 18 lakhs is coming, 17 lakh 30,000 to Bangalore and 70,000 to Mysore. That is how it is taken. Hope this is clear. Okay. So let's move on to the last topic under this cost center is, so we saw enabling cost category, master creation, linking cost center to cost category. We saw all these things. Now, let us see how the predefined cost center allocation works. What is predefined cost center allocation and how it works is what we want to see. Okay. So like example, let me tell you, when I'm paying an office rent, say example, let me take a scenario. Okay, so let us run a scenario, new scenario, which will help you to understand what it is. Okay, so office rent scenario for Bangalore location. Okay, so office rent per month for Bangalore location is 2 lakhs. Okay, now Bangalore operates all 3 line of business. Bangalore operates all 3 line of business. So how do you allocate this 2 lakh rupees? So what I want to do is I will allocate this 2 lakh rupees to line of business based on the floor area occupied. Based on the floor area occupied. Say example, let me say in Bangalore office, okay, computer hardware business is taking 50% of the space. Okay, this is space allocation. Then FMCG manufacturing is taking 30% of the space. Then travel and tourism is taking 20% of the space. Now, when I account Bangalore office rent bill, I want it to be accounted based on this percentage. Automatically, it has to get allocated, and I don't want to give it as part of the data entry. I want to avoid any mistakes that is happening. So how could we do that? Is where our predefined cost center will become very helpful. Yeah, so let's go to Tally and see how to enable the predefined cost center allocation. So to allocate predefined cost center allocation, you could just go to, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. I don't think it will be available over here. There is only cost center. Yeah. So here you have cost center class. You could enable with this cost center class. So here it doesn't show. Click on show more. It is showing you cost center class. Click on cost center class. So what is the class that you want to create? So you are defining whatever the scenario we took. So the same 2 lakh rupees has to go to Bangalore, as well as the line of business. It has to go to these 3 line of business with percentage. So I'm just defining BLR rent as the voucher class name, and in location it has to go to Bangalore 100%, and in line of business, okay, I have defined this percentage: computer 50, FMCG 30, travel and tourism 20. Computer 50%, FMCG 30%, and travel and tourism 20%. So similarly, you could create any number of clauses. Okay, so I've just created for one Bangalore rent. So I've created this. Now assume that I've got a rent bill on 30th of April for Bangalore, and I want to enter this rent bill. So the rent bill was what? 2 lakh rupees. So I'm just changing the date to 30th of April. I'm saying, sorry, I need to go to journal entry, not the sales entry. Okay, journal entry. Reference number is the invoice number of the rent. Okay, dated 25th of April. Now in the cost center or class allocation, okay, this class will also show me as Bangalore rent. See here, it is showing Bangalore rent. You want only the class to show without cost centers, you could do that also. On FL configuration, okay, you could just go and say show cost center class, list of cost center, make it as no. Okay, now here it will just show only the class, not the individual cost centers. Now I'm saying I'm accounting Bangalore rent, and the allocation, the same 2 lakh has to go to Bangalore location, and when it comes to line of business, it has to go in this percentage, allocation in this percentage. So Bangalore rent, debit, office rent, 2 lakhs, debit. So it is not asking any cost centers now. Look here, when I give the amount, ledger amount, it is just taking to the next line, and it is not allocating, it is not asking for cost center allocation. It has predefined it as allocated based on the percentage we have defined. Okay, so input GST at 9%, 9,000 rupees, sorry, 18,000 rupees. Debit, input SGST at 9%, 18,000 rupees. Credit, Venkatesh landlord with his bill number, 10 days of credit of 2,36,000. Okay, GST detail I'll give it later. Bill accounted. Now once when I save this, the automatic allocation based on this, say example, for BLR it would have gone 2 lakh rupees. Okay, for computer hardware 1 lakh would have got allocated, and for FMCG 60,000 would have got allocated, and for travel and tourism 40,000 would have got allocated as we save the transaction. So let us look at it, and I'm just saving this, accepting yes. Okay, page up. See here, allocation it is showing you. Location Bangalore 2 lakhs, line of business computer hardware 1 lakh, FMCG 60,000, and travel and tourism 40,000. So it has automatically taken the allocation. So you need not worry about it. So every time if there are some fixed expenses and if it has to be apportioned based on some percentage, you could use this capability and automatically update. Hope this is clear. Okay, now if you look at the reports, I was just showing you every report going to go to. Alternatively, you could go to display more reports on your gateway of Tally, statement of accounts, and click on cost center. It will show you cost center summary, breakup, ledger breakup, group breakup. So this was what we were seeing all the time: cost center summary, cost category summary. This is the summary which shows under line of business and under location, breakup of each cost center. The next thing that you could do is you could go to cost center and select any cost center you want to see. Bangalore. Okay, you could say Alt F1 detailed. It will show ledger wise or the subgroup wise breakup. Or if you want ledger, you could click on ledger wise. Okay. Now against Bangalore, you want to compare Chennai, you could just click on new column and say Chennai. Only Chennai you want to see. Or example, you are just seeing Bangalore. Now you want all cost centers on the columns. You could click on auto column and say cost centers. Do you want to see total? No, you don't require total. So here this is Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Karnataka, Mysore. All these details you will get over here. Okay. Hope this is clear. Similarly, you could go to a specific ledger. Say example, I want to go to a ledger and see the cost center breakup. You could click on ledger and say, for example, local sales. I want to see the cost center breakup. Now for sales, to which line of business, how much sale you have done, under which location, how much sale you have done. That's also available. Hope this is clear. Then you could also look at the group. Say example, all indirect expense I want to look at, irrespective of the ledgers. Sorry, I looked at indirect income. I need to look at indirect expenses. So it will show for a group, accounting group. This is also possible. Hope this is clear. And this brings to an end of the training session on cost center. Reporting also we looked at. So you could leave your feedback. Okay, so our numbers are available here for any further support. If you have any specific requirement, you could always reach out on these contacts. Thank you. Thanks for your time for watching this video. Hope this video will be helpful for you to implement Tally in a better way in your business or in your offices. Thank you.